Good evening. We have a breaking weather alert as a massive winter storm continues its sweep across the nation, bringing dangerous snow and Arctic cold.
Forecasters warn that this system, one of the most expansive of the season, could impact over 230 million Americans across more than 30 states, stretching from the southern plains all the way into New England. Meteorologists are already using words like crippling and catastrophic to describe this storm. Potential for ice accumulation, heavy snow, and travel crippling conditions. Emergency declarations and winter storm warnings are being issued from Texas to Massachusetts. This winter storm is not a typical seasonal disturbance, it's a multi-day, multi-state weather event that is rapidly intensifying as it draws Arctic air from Canada into a battle with Gulf moisture. The resulting system is forecast to produce snow, sleet, and freezing rain across a 2,000-mile stretch of the United States between Friday and Monday. At the heart of this storm is a low-pressure system forming over the southwest, spreading precipitation and ice as it moves northeast over the weekend. Forecast models, including those from the National Weather Service, show widespread impacts across the plains, Midwest, South, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Officials stress that the slow-moving nature of the storm will allow snow and ice to accumulate for days, increasing the risk of hazardous travel conditions, power outages, and infrastructure damage. Starting in the southern plains, snow has already begun falling in parts of Texas and Oklahoma City, where some areas could see up to a foot of snow or more. Meteorologists warn that this snowfall, while heavy, is only the beginning. As the storm pushes east, the snow band is forecast to expand into the Midwest and Ohio Valley, carrying with it accumulations that could reach 10 to 18 inches or more in parts of Kansas, Illinois, and Missouri. In the Northeast and New England, where cities like New York City, Philadelphia, and Boston are bracing for the storm's peak, forecasts suggest potential snowfall of 1 to 2 feet in several locations. In some areas, up to 24 inches or more may fall before the storm departs early next week. These totals, experts emphasize, are still subject to change, particularly as the storm's track and atmospheric dynamics evolve over the next 24 to 48 hours. While snow is a primary concern in the plains and Northeast, ice accumulations are the headline in much of the South and Mid-Atlantic. The National Weather Service and weather advisory teams are warning that sections of Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia could see crippling ice accumulations, with ice thicknesses large enough to down power lines and bring down trees. Maps released by federal weather agencies show two main corridors of dangerous ice accumulation, one from East Texas through northern Mississippi and Tennessee, and another stretching from Georgia up into Virginia, where freezing rain could cause serious disruptions. These areas are under ice storm warnings, and residents have been urged to prepare for prolonged outages, limited travel, and dangerous conditions on untreated roads. But the storm's dangers don't stop at precipitation. Following the system's passage, a blast of Arctic air is expected to plunge temperatures far below normal across major portions of the U.S. In some parts of the upper Midwest and plains, wind chills could dip below -40 degrees Fahrenheit, creating real life-threatening conditions for anyone exposed without proper shelter. This extreme cold will keep snow and ice frozen on roads and infrastructure long after the storm has departed, making recovery efforts even more challenging. Across the country, more than a dozen states have already declared states of emergency as local and state authorities brace for the storm's peak impacts. Emergency management teams, the National Guard, and road crews have been mobilized in multiple regions to prepare for power restoration, road treatment, and emergency services. Officials are urging residents to avoid travel if possible, stock emergency supplies, and stay weather aware as conditions deteriorate. Airports and transportation hubs are also preparing for significant disruption. With ice covering runways and low visibility expected, flight cancellations and delays are becoming increasingly likely. The human toll of this storm could be significant. With so many people affected, even a few days of dangerous weather can strain local resources and emergency services. Officials have repeatedly stressed that preparation today can save lives tomorrow. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings for vast regions, including major metropolitan areas, and is urging people to heed safety recommendations. Stay off the roads if possible. Keep extra food, water, and medicine on hand. Have alternative heat sources ready if power fails. Check on elderly neighbors and those with limited mobility. Emergency broadcasts are highlighting the dangers of black ice, frozen power lines, and tree collapse, all of which pose serious threats to both property and human safety. Meteorologists explain that this storm's breadth and intensity are driven by two major weather factors colliding: a strong Arctic air mass moving southward from Canada, and a moisture-rich low-pressure system advancing from the southwest. As these systems merge, the result is a powerful winter storm that draws on cold, dry air and warm moisture, a combination that fuels both heavy snow and freezing rain. This dynamic is similar to historic winter events that have produced widespread ice storms and blizzards. But this system's expansive geography makes it particularly notable. Experts say that conditions this severe, snow, ice, Arctic cold, and prolonged duration are unusual but not unprecedented. What makes this storm especially dangerous is the combination of heavy snow and prolonged ice, along with the scope of states involved, which compounds logistical challenges for responders. Despite the detailed forecast maps, there remains uncertainty in exact snowfall and ice totals. Weather models continue to adjust projected accumulation amounts as the storm evolves. For example, snowfall totals could vary significantly between regions based on exact temperature profiles and storm track shifts. In some areas, slight warming aloft could convert snow to sleet or freezing rain, which would increase ice risk while reducing snow totals. Conversely, a colder air column could produce heavier snow than currently forecast. This dynamic forecasting means that homeowners, authorities, and travelers must remain vigilant and flexible as conditions change. As the crippling winter storm continues its eastward march, forecasters warn that the most dangerous phase of this system is unfolding right now. While snow and ice have already begun disrupting daily life across large portions of the country, meteorologists say the compound effects of this storm, snow followed by ice then extreme cold, will significantly increase risks in the coming days. The convergence of these hazards makes this event especially threatening, even for regions accustomed to winter weather. Major metropolitan areas are now entering the storm's core impact zone. Cities such as Dallas, St. Louis, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., New York, and Boston are all expected to feel some combination of snow, ice, freezing rain, or bitter cold. Transportation authorities across these regions are urging residents to prepare for extended disruptions, warning that road conditions may deteriorate faster than crews can respond. Unlike fast-moving winter storms, this system's slow progression means hazards may persist for several days rather than hours. Air travel is already being affected nationwide. Airlines have issued preemptive cancellations and waivers, particularly in hubs across the Midwest and Northeast. Airport officials warn that freezing rain is especially problematic for aviation, as ice accumulation on aircraft and runways can halt operations entirely. Even where snowfall totals are moderate, icing conditions could lead to cascading delays and cancellations that ripple through the national air traffic system. Highways and interstates face similar challenges. Transportation departments report that freezing rain creates nearly invisible layers of ice, commonly known as black ice, which is responsible for a large percentage of winter traffic fatalities. Emergency officials emphasize that even experienced winter drivers may be caught off guard, as roads can appear merely wet while being dangerously slick. Authorities in multiple states have urged residents to avoid non-essential travel, particularly overnight and during early morning hours when temperatures are lowest. Power infrastructure remains one of the most critical concerns. Ice accumulation on power lines and tree branches dramatically increases the risk of widespread power outages, particularly in southern and mid-Atlantic states where infrastructure is less hardened for ice storms. Utility companies are pre-positioning repair crews, yet officials caution that restoration could take days if damage is extensive. The combination of power loss and extreme cold raises serious concerns for vulnerable populations, including the elderly, medically dependent individuals, and those without access to alternative heating sources. Emergency management agencies are activating warming centers and shelters in anticipation of prolonged outages. Public safety officials stress that carbon monoxide poisoning becomes a major risk during winter storms, as residents turn to generators, grills, or improvised heating methods. Authorities repeatedly remind the public that such devices should never be used indoors or near enclosed spaces, emphasizing that many winter storm fatalities occur not from cold exposure, but from unsafe heating practices. Schools and government offices across dozens of states have announced closures or remote operations. While closures reduce immediate travel risk, they also underscore the storm's broader societal impact. Parents, caregivers, and essential workers are being forced to adapt schedules, often while dealing with hazardous conditions at home. Emergency planners note that prolonged disruptions place additional strain on healthcare systems, particularly as ambulances and first responders navigate icy roads. Healthcare providers are also preparing for a surge in weather-related injuries. Slips and falls, hypothermia, frostbite, and traffic accidents typically increase during prolonged winter events. Hospitals in affected regions are adjusting staffing plans to ensure adequate coverage while accounting for travel difficulties faced by medical personnel. Public health officials emphasize that even short exposure to extreme cold can be dangerous, particularly when wind chills drop well below zero. Meteorologists explain that once the storm's precipitation ends, the danger does not immediately pass. The arrival of Arctic air behind the system will lock snow and ice in place, preventing natural melting and prolonging hazardous conditions. Daytime temperatures in many areas will remain below freezing, meaning roads, sidewalks, and power lines may stay icy for extended periods. This lingering cold significantly slows recovery efforts and increases the likelihood of secondary accidents days after the storm's peak. In rural areas, the impact may be even more severe. Snow-covered roads and ice-laden power lines can isolate communities, delaying emergency response and supply deliveries. Farmers and livestock operators are working to protect animals from exposure, while also dealing with frozen water supplies and damaged infrastructure. Emergency officials stress that rural residents should ensure they have several days' worth of supplies, including food, water, medications, and fuel. The storm is also affecting national supply chains. Trucking routes across the central United States are being disrupted, raising concerns about delayed deliveries of food, fuel, and medical supplies. While short-term disruptions are manageable, logistics experts warn that prolonged road closures could lead to localized shortages, particularly in smaller communities. Retailers are urging calm, emphasizing that distribution systems are designed to recover once conditions improve. Weather experts note that this storm exemplifies the complexity of modern winter weather forecasting. While long-range models accurately predicted a major system days in advance, precise snowfall and ice totals remain difficult to pinpoint until hours before impact. Small temperature differences, sometimes just 1 or 2 degrees, can mean the difference between snow and freezing rain, dramatically altering outcomes. This uncertainty is why officials stress preparation across a wide impact zone, rather than focusing solely on specific accumulation numbers. Climatologists caution against drawing immediate conclusions about climate trends from a single storm, yet they note that extreme weather variability has become more pronounced in recent decades. Large winter storms are not new, but the combination of expansive geographic reach, prolonged duration, and sharp temperature contrasts has become more common. Researchers continue to study how shifting atmospheric patterns influence the frequency and intensity of such events. As the storm progresses into the northeast, coastal impacts may also emerge. Strong winds combined with heavy snow can reduce visibility to near zero, creating blizzard-like conditions even where official blizzard criteria are not met. Coastal flooding is not expected to be widespread, but minor flooding in vulnerable shoreline areas remains possible due to wind-driven water and pressure changes. Government officials at all levels are urging the public to stay informed through official weather alerts, emergency broadcasts, and local authorities. Social media misinformation can spread rapidly during major storms, sometimes exaggerating or misrepresenting risks. Emergency managers stress relying on trusted sources and following guidance from local officials who understand regional vulnerabilities. Public messaging remains consistent. Preparation saves lives. Officials recommend charging electronic devices, checking emergency kits, securing outdoor objects, insulating exposed pipes, and ensuring vehicles are winter-ready. Even small steps taken ahead of time can reduce risk and ease recovery once conditions improve. As night falls across large portions of the country, authorities emphasize that conditions often worsen after sunset. Falling temperatures can rapidly refreeze melting snow, and visibility decreases significantly. Emergency responders warn that the most dangerous travel periods often occur overnight and during early morning hours, when icy conditions are hardest to detect. Despite the storm's severity, meteorologists stress that this is not an unstoppable disaster. but a manageable emergency with the right precautions. Communities that heed warnings, reduce travel, and prioritize safety significantly reduce injury and loss of life. The goal, officials say, is not to eliminate risk entirely, which is impossible, but to minimize unnecessary exposure. Looking ahead, forecast models indicate gradual improvement once the storm exits the East Coast. However, lingering cold means recovery will take time. Utility restoration, road clearing, and school reopenings may stretch into the following week in some regions. Officials urge patience and caution, reminding residents that hazards can persist even after skies clear. In closing, this crippling winter storm stands as a powerful reminder of nature's capacity to disrupt daily life across vast regions. From ice-coated power lines in the south to snow-buried roads in the northeast, the impacts are widespread and serious. As millions remain under winter storm warnings, the message from authorities is clear: stay informed, stay prepared, and stay safe. This has been a special extended weather report from U.S. Media Power. We will continue to bring you real-time updates, forecast changes, and emergency information as this storm unfolds. Stay with us for the latest developments and take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and your loved ones.